Yo, it's your boy, Uncle Pre, back in the studio again. As you can tell, new scenery, new layout, all of that. It's going to be a... finally, guys, we have some video footage. Oh, man. It's been a long time coming. And you're probably going to hear me say this a number of times because I am now recording this a few sessions after since I did my first session in this room. Anyway, that being said, welcome to the YouTube series of the Unfltered Podcast. Way! So if you've been following me, you've been following the Unfiltered Podcast, you've seen the journey. And today, as I'm stepping into the studio with a chance to just speak to the camera myself, I thought, why not? Let's just deep it a little bit more, all right? Let's just get into the nitty gritty of how this has all come about, the things that we've been doing. When I say we, I mean me, but the opportunities that have been provided to get to where I am, and just give you a bit more backstory about Uncle Pre, and the story. If you've not heard it on some of the episodes already, this is a great place to be just to hear me out right now. And I'm just too excited, I can't wait to finally get this out there, released, and just, it's a work in progress. But I've got my little my notes here today. But let's talk about the pod first before we get into a bit about me. So I've discussed a number of episodes on Unfiltered. We've gone from having my first two guests, shout out J Unity, my guys. Very honored to get them on the pod. We had a conversation about their journey doing music, their hustle, their grind, what people don't see, what's happening behind closed doors. And then it's just continued from there. I've had work colleagues come in and talk about their experience within the corporate environment. I've had people talk about events that have happened to them, traumatic events. We've delved into grief. We've delved into mental health. We've delved into a lot. And slowly and progressively, we've got ourselves to a stage where we are at a studio and actually have video footage. Words can't describe what it feels like to be here right now and record. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been a journey and a process in itself, and things do happen. Things do happen. I put it on my phone, and there's this studio that I've got on my little mood board. You lot can't see it, but it was a plan for me at one point to get into a studio and record. And I am so thankful for the networking I've been able to just put out there and find a studio that meets my needs and be able to start recording, And I think that's an important thing when it comes to like starting something new. I've touched base on it with a number of guests when they've talked about their businesses and their entrepreneurial journeys and stuff like that. But I want to like deep this a bit more about me. When you set up to do something, I think the initial thought process is that, it's going to be 100%. It's going to look like what everyone else is doing. And that can be a problem because you get to a stage where nothing actually ever happens, Nothing happens the way you really want it to, purely based on the fact that you're overthinking this perfectionist mindset. It has to look a certain way. The equipment has to be great. The sound has to be great. And I want to take you across my journey. All right, so this episode that you're about to see today is me in this studio, but as we do more of the previous sessions on the podcast, you've got me using my iPhone as a camera to get some video footage. You've got me then using my camera, which I purchased last year, for video footage, and then finally we'll be using these cameras to talk later on into the episodes about this kind of setting and this kind of scenery. So again, I just wanted to explain that things aren't just going to happen. You've got to take action and you've got to learn with the journey. You've got to experience it. You've got to take it for what it is. And for me personally, being here right now, it hasn't been all rosy, So I started off with Zoom calls. All right, let's just say it straight up. My first number of podcasts, my first 2 seasons on the Unfiltered Podcast were Zoom calls, right? No video footage. One, because I wasn't sure of the background in my room and where my guests were. And, like for me, quality always made a difference. But I needed to get the ball rolling. So I had a Zoom membership, which I use for my coaching practice. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to use this right now to have calls and record it. And you know what? Let's just stick it on there and see what happens. And 2 seasons in, must have been a good 20 episodes on the podcast, I think. And I've had some great conversations. Then stepping away from that, I realized that I kind of do want to be in the studio. Why? Because I just feel like it's a better scenario, better atmosphere. And when you get to talk to your guests who are right next to you, it makes so much of a big difference. So thankfully, I was able to find where I'm at right now. But that all started at a studio which was close to me, which isn't far away from home. So I had a few guests who came down, and that again didn't have a camera. I then bought a camera, but I wasn't sure how to record it because I was so scared about, is it going to look good on YouTube? Is it going to look good aesthetically on Instagram? But I still wanted to keep the podcast going. So with the guests that came in, cool with it. They were happy with just doing the audio coverage, and we recorded a number of sessions in the studio, and that was in a completely different type of room. I'm talking about like me facing them opposite, a couple of mics facing each other. And if you've seen me and you follow me on Instagram, you've seen some of the reels where it's just a phone and me talking. And that's because they never wanted to be on camera themselves. But again, it's part of the journey. And now, literally months later down the line, just doing a bit of research, getting a bit of fortune, But again, it's all what you put out there and what you manifest. And we're here right now, able to record. So what I want to say is, whatever you're trying to set up to do, the actions that you want to take, start taking the most easy ones, start taking the basic ones and get the ball rolling, because you're never going to know what the end product's going to look like. Right now, I'm here. Who knows where I'm going to be in the next few months when I'm recording? Is the backdrop going to be completely different? Is it going to be a different layout of the room? Like, you generally just don't know. And I think that's the beautiful part of this for me in particular. Like, it's part of the process. It's a journey. And with every journey I have taken, with every step I have taken, it all just happens naturally. And that's the beautiful part of it, because you don't know. You learn. I've learned about what these lights do, what difference they make. I've learned what difference certain microphones make. I'm not a technical genius, but I've learned slowly. And again, opportunities arise, and it's all about making the most of those opportunities. So yeah, very fortunate to be here. But if you've never listened to the pod, I do recommend you go back and listen to some of the other episodes, because fuck me, they were deep. But let's talk a bit more about Unfiltered. If you haven't heard it, Unfiltered is spelled incorrectly, if you lot don't already know. It's Unfltered. And the reason why is because when I bring a guest on, I want it to be about them. I want it to be about the audience. I want it to be reflected towards you, and hence why I take the I out of Unfiltered, i.e. take me out of Unfiltered. But obviously I'm here today, so maybe we just butcher it and throw me into it for the sake of it. But that's where Unfiltered comes from. And the concept and the idea of this podcast is to try and synchronize well with my coaching practice and my view in regards to giving people a platform to be authentically themselves. If you've heard some of the episodes in the past, I'm sure you're well aware that people generally just don't know how to be true to themselves. They're scared in relation to what's going on behind the scenes at home. It's a difficult kind of place to be when you can't authentically be you, whether it's on a dating scene or it's with your family or at work. There are so many situations where people generally feel that being true to themselves is difficult. It's not accepted. And that's what the pod's here to. Well, that's the purpose of it, really. You come through, you get unfiltered, you tell a story, you share your business, you share something you're working on, or you jump straight in, head first into a topic which is going to cause a lot of controversy. But it's your opinion, and you're not afraid of sharing that opinion. And that's what we do. We just give people those opportunities. So that's pretty much that's pretty much the foundation of where the pod sits. And I've been so fortunate to have a number of guests, from influencers, again, to business entrepreneurs, to general random people who are working something on the side, or generally have a story that they want to share, and they want to just share that to the world. Not necessarily for exposure, not necessarily to get likes and to get a following, but just to let people know that it's okay if you're going through a certain situation. I'm going through this right now. You're going through that. Maybe we can communicate and network. And if you want to share something that you're going through and you want to touch base and talk about what's going on, I'm here for it. And that's what I tell all my guests before they get on. This is an opportunity for you to just talk about anything and everything. I don't care about what it is that you want to touch base on. I'm more focused on the impact it's going to have with the one person that listens to it and says, shit, I'm going through that same struggle right now. I'm going through that challenge. I want to reach out. I want to get that help. I want to let them know they have done a fantastic job and this is what I'm doing. Can they help me, etc., etc., etc. So that's what Unfiltered is based on. Again, I don't know where Unfiltered is going to take me. It could be a great opportunity where I work with another host and we can have conversations on a regular and limit the guest. Or it's a case of where we just continue just to do what we're doing right now and just build and build and build. And it's a work in progress, baby. It's a work in progress. But I have loved my guests that have turned up. I can't wait for the number of guests I've got lined up to come on and just share their stories, share what they're going through, and really and truly get unfiltered with me. So that's a bit about the pod. If you haven't, if you're not aware, what can you expect? Fuck me, I can't really tell you what to expect. Really, it's I have ideas in regards to what I'd like to do, but it is again part of the journey, and it all depends on the guest that turns up. So yeah, we take it step by step, but I wanted to take a bit more of this opportunity right now. Bloody hell, you get phone calls during the pod. What's going on? I wanted to take this opportunity right now to dive a little bit deeper into me and what I'm doing and how the podcast kind of relates to the coaching that I'm doing. And tell you a bit about my story if you're not already aware. So a bit of background around me. I am a qualified accountant. Studied at university, Master of Economics, and follow the crowd, not knowing what I was doing. Just thought, what, everyone else is doing this in my course. Let's just do it as well, because who knows? It's going to pay well. It's going to do me wonders. Fantastic. Also had this mindset where all I wanted to do is make money, buy myself a house, buy myself a nice car, and start that family lifestyle relatively soon, because I was in a relationship and then things changed over time. But I got myself qualified, and it came to a point where during my qualification, I realized a number of things. I learned a lot about failure because I didn't pass everything first time like I have done with life. That was a big kick up the arse. And I also learned how certain corporate entities work. And that's no shame or disgrace towards the corporate profession. But I felt there was a lack of emphasis towards helping people and helping people get through their shit. And I realized when I was working that, especially when it comes to exams, if you're between the ages of, you could start as an apprentice 18 to when you qualify 24, even older, depending on when you start your accounting qualification. This is just accounting talking, but I'm sure it probably fits well with other scenarios and other people studying different types of exams or professional exams. But there is this harsh reality that you may not make it. A bit like anything. Like if you don't do well, unfortunately, you may have to be let go of. And that was a situation I found myself in. And I realized that if you weren't able to find a group of people or friends or have colleagues above you who could help you out and steer you with some motivation and some drive to get through some of the tough times, it can be a difficult scenario. And when you do a bit of research into what's happening at the top scale versus what's happening at the lower scale where I was currently at, there was little drive to help individuals. And I realized that because when I was put into a more senior position, I could see that some of the stresses that some of my junior staff were going through, whether it is exams, personal challenges, i.e. relationships, financial implications, struggling to pay rent, dieting, just insecurities, everything in general. All of that stuff happens, but no one really takes action in regards to helping people get through those situations. My first thought process was when I had another senior colleague say to me, yeah, he's being a bit lazy, like he really just doesn't get it. In my head, I'm thinking, there must be a reason why he doesn't get it. Like, has anyone ever spoken to him to find out like if something's going on behind the scenes? And again, no one does that. Why? On the back end of the fact that like it's just not common practice. It's not normal to do that kind of thing. And I wanted to change that. But I wasn't going to change that in my current position. So by the time I qualified, finally, got that over and done with, at the end of 2019, I said to myself, I'm going to take some time out. I'm going to step away from this because I have been told that I am quite motivational, hence why Uncle Pre came into the play. If you haven't heard the story, my boys used to call me either Uncle P or P Money because I either moaned a lot about anything and everything, or it was Uncle P because of the fact that like I just help people, whether they needed someone to revise, whether they just needed help with some little IT kind of small issues, whether it was just generally just being there as a support person just to speak to about whatever was going on behind the scenes. I offered that. So Uncle P came about, and then obviously Uncle P wasn't available, so we dropped with Uncle Pre instead. And yeah, and so this whole idea of being a motivational kind of person and working towards that was what I kind of wanted to do. So my idea and thought process was, let's take some time out. Let's work on you, Pre. Let's go travel the world, because you've not been able to do that. You know, you've not been able to really enjoy some of the benefits that you've been able to gain through working, right? You've had to study consistently, and if you're studying an ACA, a CA, a CMA, or any other exams, it's kind of hard to find that time to study. So that was pretty much what I was doing, and finally had a chance to just say, you know what, fuck this shit. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to apply this kind of motivational touch across the world. So I'm going to go try travel. I am going to do some charity work and just enjoy myself for a bit and work on myself. I was also like going through shit, and it was a case of, this is my time to fully just be me and enjoy myself and let loose a little bit, because I hadn't really had a chance to just be free. And so this was my opportunity. And yeah, the opportunity arose to quit. As soon as I finished my exams, I said to myself, you know what? I am done with this. I am going to call it a day. I am ready just to move on and do me. And Bob's your uncle. Booked a flight to start my trip in America and my traveling trips there, and go from there. Long story short, as you know, I said I finished end of 2019. 2020, COVID happened. And so I fell into the path of coming back home and not knowing really what to do. I didn't want to jump back into a job straight away. I didn't want to just go back to what I already knew. This was my chance and my time to really just do something more meaningful for me. And I thought, fuck it. Let's not get into work, and let's work on yourself the way you said you were going to. I said that I was going to try and do some sort of charity work. How can I still help people? And with COVID kicking off, like, everyone was going through shit, right? So I thought to myself, great opportunity to make the most of it. Why not dive into a coaching course? It kind of possibly ties into the motivational side of things, and a chance for me to understand a bit more about what coaches do, whether or not I need one, and how I can learn and develop myself further. And as you can tell, I've had to keep getting up and down because the camera keeps flickering up. So apologies for the breaks. And so I jumped into a coaching course, and the first course that I did was, and the only course I've done, is the Jay Shetty Certification School. I picked Jay Shetty's course purely based on the fact that it was what was described as something where I would learn in my own time and be able to just work on myself in that time. At the same time, I was a big follower of Jay. Was a fan of the videos he was putting out, and the idea of what he's done and to be where he is right now was very inspirational, motivational for me. So I was like, fuck it, I have nothing. Oh wow, let's put this on mute. I have nothing to lose here. It's a great investment, and my family said to me, look, Brie, whenever you invest in yourself, it's priceless. It's an amazing feeling, you putting that into yourself. And I don't think I've ever really truly invested in my own like well-being and self. So this was my opportunity to do that. So I did the coaching course, and part of that course was this self-discovery about myself. Fuck me, did I cry a shit lot of times when I realized that, the way I've been going about life with these limiting beliefs that cropped up, this isn't healthy, this isn't cool. But I also realized I had this amazing ability to help individuals who are going through their own challenges, who are going through tough times, who are going through struggles, and really add some value. And it hit me when I had a member of the school reach out and say, Pri, I'm not going to lie to you, you need to do this full time. Like, you cannot waste this opportunity. You are so good at the way you communicate with people. You're straight to the point, you're upfront, You have this no bullshit mentality, but at the same time, you're empathetic and you can listen and you can call people out when they go about things a certain way. And so for me personally, I saw this as, you know what, I'm not really going anywhere. I'm at home. I've got this opportunity to really help people. Let me just milk it and see what happens, Let's try this self-employed entrepreneurial journey and see what happens. Like maybe it's my calling. And like 3 years later, or 2 and a bit years later, I'm still coaching. It's my passion, it's my purpose, it's my business on the side. I am working full time for other financial, personal reasons, but coaching is just something I can't not do. And it's so wonderful in regards to the things I've been able to explore and my clients I've been able to help over the period I've been working with them. It's been fantastic. So yeah, that's pretty much that in a nutshell, really. So the reason why I got my laptop here is because I've had a few people say to me, mate, you really need to touch base on your coaching and give a bit more insight into regards to why you do it, who you help, etc. So I've got my prompts here, and one of the questions that came up is, why do you love coaching? And for me, it's a case of coming up from a South Asian background. It's kind of looked down upon to get assistance and personal help when it comes to shit that you're going through. I think generations above never really spoke about the things that are going on, and you can see sometimes that some parents don't look happy, possibly a bit down in the dumps, or they just consistently just strive just to make sure their kids are happy, etc., regardless to how they feel behind closed doors. And that's not a healthy place to be. And so what I've realized in this journey, that we all go through things behind closed doors, and if I can be an outlet for someone to reach out and speak to in regards to whatever's going on, it's going to do me all the wonders. It's going to help so much. And I would love to have had someone there by my side. I've got family. You lot don't know, on my arm I've got a tattoo, the name of my next door neighbor, who's been like my fairy godmother, who's been like my go-to. She's known me since the age of 1, and generally I've got endless love for her. And throughout my hard times, she has always been there. And it's scary to know that with people that I speak to, they don't have that luxury. They don't have people they can just reach out to willy-nilly. And knowing that I have that in abundance has been a massive, massive game changer for me. And I want to be that person to other people wherever I can, not necessarily to make money out of them, not necessarily just to run a business, but for them to know it's okay to go through what they're going through. It's okay to feel the way they do. And essentially, I'm an outlet if you want to speak to me about what's going on, And so that's the reason why I kind of love coaching. I've loved the process of how I have learned a lot about myself. I've loved the fact that I can open up to random strangers, i.e. my coaches in the past, and tell them anything and everything and let it all out. It's very different to therapy. Not that I've had therapy, but it's very different from what I've been taught in regards to with coaching. There's always action involved and an end goal. What are we trying to achieve here? And being able to work on that and work on my own individual goals has been dreamy in itself, i.e. setting up a business, setting up a website, setting up generally getting a limited company put out there. Generally the steps that have been put in place, how to start a podcast, what to do next. No one really knows the answer. You can have experts and you can have mentors that teach you, but with coaching, I don't need to be an expert in regards to your marriage. I'm not married. I haven't got kids. But I know you know the answers right now in regards to what's going on. And I can help you see what you don't see, or help you take the action that you're avoiding taking through baby steps, through opening up, through finding an avenue that's going to work for you. And that's just been something I've consistently done. And this is why I love it, because what I have learned, I've been able to have difficult conversations with people. I've been able to open up a lot more, and it's helped me on all fronts. Like one of the best ones is when it came to like being single and dating, and that kind of outlook and look on life. People think that it's all cushy at times. People think that that it's easy. It's not. When you speak into someone And sometimes you feel you need to be someone else. Sometimes you feel you need to look a certain way. Through coaching, I have been able to learn I can be authentically myself. And if someone doesn't like me for who I am, straight up, middle fingers. Like, it is what it is. I'm not perfect. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and I get that. I am cool with that. But at the same time, like, what do you want me to do? I'm not going to change for you. If you don't like me for who I am when I look my worst, i.e. when my hair is not trimmed, my beard is not in the best of shape, but yeah, I'm dressed in a baggy jumper and combats, and I look like this when I turn up. If you're not going to like me for that, that's cool. This is who I am. Learn to respect that, and if you don't, sweet. If you don't like me for what I look exterior-wise, you don't need to know me what I'm like interior-wise. So that's one thing I've learned, right? And that's one thing I share with my clients who come up to me, want to talk about dating and talk about relationships and how to authentically be themselves. And I have learned that. I have learned that the hard way. It's interesting because when you get brought up thinking you need to compare yourself to everyone else, you need to wear what they're wearing, you need to look a certain way, you need to have a similar haircut for a guy, or for women, you've got to have a certain physique, or it's not cool to dress a certain way, or you get where I'm going. It can be quite frustrating, it can be quite frustrating when you're kind of like in this kind of boat. And I have learned that in this journey that I've been on, how beautiful it is to just be you, and being able to share that with clients, being able to like help them on this journey. I love it. I have had clients that I've worked with who have been able to stand up to their parents and say, no, I just don't want to take part in these religious activities. And it's not because they're not religious and they're not trying to be disrespectful, but they just don't have a common interest. And you've got to think to yourself, if you've been stuck under that shell where you just feel you have to just say yes to everything, but finally you can say no without any repercussions, and they're going to appreciate your honesty, that goes a long way. And so, like, for me, being able to help people do that, it's just brilliant. So next question that came up was, who do you help? So if you follow me on LinkedIn, it says I help millennials. And if you follow my content, I kind of put a bit of everything out there. Whether it's regards to personal growth, i.e. confidence, whether it's dating advice, relationship advice, whether it's I don't really tap into more entrepreneurial business kind of side of things, but I can help people from all fronts. Why? Because I'm a great listener. I don't know why I pointed at my head there. I'm a great listener. I listen to what you're telling me, and I try and get you to look outside of the box. I try and get you to see what you don't see. And when you identify, oh shit, this is the reason why I'm not succeeding. So I'll give you an example. One of my clients approached me around their business and targets that they wanted to work towards. I was like, all right, fantastic, cool. I'm not an expert. Yeah, that's fine. I still want to work with you. We then realized that the reason why their business wasn't performing the way they really wanted it to was on the back end of the fact that they had personal challenges that they just kept putting aside. Naturally, that's going to stay in your head, right? You're going to turn up to work in a bad mood. You're not necessarily going to be productive. You're constantly going to be thinking about, you're going to get notifications on your phone. It's going to stress you out, piss you off. And naturally, your goals just take a little bit longer because you can't work with a clear mind. It's so very difficult. And so when you identify this to someone and they're like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. So what should I do? Well, you tell me, how could you perform better at work? How could you perform better within your business? How can you reach those goals with less stress? Well, I need to have that conversation with my partner. So why haven't you? Ta-da! And it's something so simple like that gets people thinking, shit, why haven't I done this? And the real reasons are because they're fearful. They don't want shit to hit the fan. They don't want to start unnecessary arguments. But it's by not having those difficult conversations that are causing you to be stressful when you're in the work environment. It's a very, very interesting concept. When people have said to me about, like, can you help me lose weight? I can try. I'm not a PT. I'm not an expert. I'm not a professional in that field, but I know the basics. So we can talk about dieting. We can talk about steps. We can talk about the number of exercises you do. And I've had a fitness coach, and I've gained advice from them in regards to sleep, stress, how that impacts your diet, weighing yourself daily rather than just every week or so, because you will have fluctuations, and you got to bear that in mind. Look at the average rather than just looking at the one figure you see. calories and stuff like that. So I have a rough understanding. But the beautiful part of working with someone when it comes to their fitness journey is why do you really want that? Why do you really want to lose weight? Why do you want to rip up? Like, why aren't you fine the way you are? Oh shit, that's a different conversation. Because you want to work with me to get that instant result, but are you happy within yourself right now? Do you love yourself right now? Yeah, but Pri, I didn't want to talk about that. I know you didn't, and you possibly have never spoken about it. But let's be honest, if we get you in that shape right now and you still feel insecure, you don't feel as beautiful as you want to feel, if you still feel that you still need to do more and more and more, how unhealthy is that? And so you work on that. So when it comes to people who I work with, predominantly women approach me the most. Maybe it's just easy to speak to me. I'm an easy person to get on with. I see things in different lights compared to other people, so we'll take that for what it is. But predominantly work with women. That's not to say I don't work with guys. Majority of my clients though have been women, and the age range is beautiful. I've had students from university reach out. I've had people from across the world reach out who are 16, and generally just want to talk. And who am I to say no in regards to adding some advice, providing some help, regardless to whether it's coaching or generally just an introductory call. It's just a process. But I've also stretched that where I'm working with older women who are struggling within their relationships with their married partners. I have had situations with mothers who are a little bit even older than that, who generally just need motivation and a kick up the bum and something like that. And it's a case of well, I kind of offer my services to anyone and everyone, but I fixate it on those who really want it, because I've touched base on this on episodes before. People say they kind of want things, but they don't really want it, and so it's a case of it's a waste of my time to help someone who just doesn't really know what they want. If you want to work on gaining confidence, but you're really not that focused in doing the work and putting in the graft and the shift to become more confident, there's no point me working with you. But with the women that I've spoken to, and even with the men that I've spoken to, they get deep. They touch base in regards to what's surface level. So we have this iceberg concept, right? We see what we see on the iceberg, but underneath the iceberg, no one sees that. We don't see the shit that's going on that keeps the iceberg afloat and all of that shit. And those are the things that I dive into. And it's an amazing experience. It's a very, very interesting one, because it's allowing someone to then tell me, yeah, can we tangent off, Pri? Yeah, okay. Why, what's up? Yeah, I think the reason why I'm not feeling as confident as I am is because I'm not allowed to feel confident at home. Whoa, where did that come from? Tell me more. And all of a sudden, another analogy, the layers of the onion just keep peeling and peeling and peeling and peeling. And all of a sudden, we've got to a place where someone's opened up about something completely different to how the conversation originally started from. But it's their safe space. They know they're not going to be judged. I'm going to be their soundboard, so whatever they say to me, they're going to hear it back sometimes, and they're going to be like, fuck, did I just say that? And I'm like, yeah, you did. And we go from there, and we try and help them have those uncomfortable conversations. I love the saying, I help you make the uncomfortable comfortable. It's magical. It is very, very interesting. And the amount of times I have had a client approach me and say to me, the best example is with parents. When a client tells me they just don't know how to open up, parents never understand. I get that. And when you get them doing something completely different to what they've ever done, and they just see a completely different response to what they've always assumed and known, it's like, I've told you before, your parents unintentionally have gone about life this way. They don't want to hurt you. They don't want to put you in this scenario where you feel like shit. That is not their intention. But you automatically assume, based on what you've seen in life, that this is all they ever know. This is what they're going to do. They constantly don't want to change their ways. Nah, you can take a step back and actually look at it and try something different and see how they respond. And I guarantee you get a completely different reaction. But that's all part of the process when it comes to coaching. And yeah, so age ranges completely. It varies from students to me working with people in their 40s and 50s. people who follow me on Instagram may drop me a DM to say, yo, that resonated with me. I'm like, cool, do you want to talk about it? Yeah, I don't know if I can. Well, let's have a little chat. Let's see if I can add some value, and not necessarily to coach you, but if this helps you, maybe it starts the ball rolling for you, so you no longer carry on feeling this way. And bada bing, bada boom, we've kicked things off, and before you know it, the benefits just start arising. So, yeah, man. I think one thing that one person said to me was, how does helping others make you feel? I think I've always tried to go about life with an element of passion and purpose, and that's my driver, and that's why I want to do it. So when it was starting accounting, it was the case of just being financially stable to be able to provide for my family, because that's what my dad did, and that's what my grandparents have done, and that's kind of always been the drive, just to be stable and provide for the next generation. That kind of changed when I realized that I just love helping people, and before it was from a negative mindset where I felt I was unworthy, so I kind of couldn't help myself. I had to put everyone else above me, and I have to just help others first before I help myself. But now it's I have this luxury of being able to record a podcast, and that could help someone, or I invite someone to a call and they want to get unfiltered with me on a call, and I can help them that way, or they become a client and I work with them in a coaching environment. But helping others, for me, there are so many ways we can do that. And I feel like some people limit themselves when they talk to me in regards to, look, they want to help. There are people pleasers, they do this, that, and the other. There are so many ways to help people. And what I've realized over time, the benefits that I get from it is it puts a smile on my face, knowing that the young woman who has dropped a message to me today and has opened up and started crying, and in regards to her situation, she's gonna wake up the next morning knowing that there's a different outlook. She can go about things a completely certain way and put herself first. It's difficult to explain, like, the warmth you get. There have been, like, as a coach, we're not technically you shouldn't really get emotionally invested into your clients, but I do, unfortunately. I really resonate with a lot of my clients and their stories, and it's like, I don't show it on camera, but behind the scenes I might be like, fuck, yo, man, this kid's got it tough. This lady is struggling quite bad. This guy, man, I feel for him. And when you deep that, and like, throughout the sessions or throughout the calls that you have, that it's gonna add an element of value to them. It's a very heartwarming felt feeling, knowing that, not knowing that I have done that personally. It's nothing personal. It's knowing that they are able to take action in a different light right now, which is going to serve them long term and serve the next generation to follow them. When I've had mothers speak to me in regards to what they should do in regards to their children and stuff, I don't know. I'm not a parent. I can't comment and speculate on those things. But you tell me, what do you think would benefit your child more? How do you think your kid's thinking right now? What actions are you taking, and how does that affect them? And when they start thinking differently and open up, it's a case of that mother's going to change that child's mentality. When I get a mother to tell me, what would you tell your kid to do in this situation in regards to building up their confidence and stuff? A mother would tell me, I would tell them, it's okay. Don't worry. Failures are fine. It's all good. Come here. Let me give you a hug. I love you no matter what. And it's like, amazing. Amazing. This is what you would do for your child. So why aren't you doing that for yourself? Why aren't you looking at yourself in the mirror and giving yourself that love? Why aren't you seeking that love? Why aren't you giving yourself that level of encouragement that you can go above and beyond? And it's a heartwarming feeling when you get a message the next day or a week later to say, oh, man, Pri, you don't understand. I haven't smiled this much in so long. My partner actually understands where I'm coming from, and I've been so scared in having that conversation, and now being able to have that, it's going to change things in a positive way, and I'm so thankful. And it's like, don't thank me. I always tell my clients, don't thank me. I'm not done anything here. I've just made you very aware in regards to what you haven't done and what possibly is going to help you long term. And so that's kind of how it makes me feel. It makes it's a magical uplifting vibe, knowing that one, people can open up, get emotional, and share how they're truly feeling, and really dig deeper into regards to like what's going on behind the scenes. But on the flip side of that, it's it's I don't know. It makes me think of if I was like a teacher at school and a kid came up to me and said, "Oh my God, sir, thank you so much. I've got an A star." I'm like, I didn't do the work. You did it. I just taught you what you needed to do. You did the homework. You did the extra studying. You understood it. You asked the questions. No, thank yourself. You did that. But knowing that, it's like I've had clients send me a text and they've just shared hug emojis, and it's like it feels nice. And maybe that's me just being selfish with this, saying that it is a nice feeling knowing that you can help people. But I don't do this to help others for my own benefit. It's more of a case of if I can leave the world in a better place where people can open up to their parents, people can talk about the shit that's going on, people can approach their partners in a way they never have before. It's just gonna change things moving forward. And my outlook is always to try and be fulfilled or work towards being fulfilled. And I feel like with coaching, I am able to explore that in so many different depths. Oh my God. Someone asked me, do you find it easy or do you struggle? And like I said, like I don't coach everyone. You know, I have had conversations with people where you can just tell your vibe isn't going to work with them. And so unfortunately I'll have to decline, but I'll always try and find another avenue where I can, whether it's not necessarily me they need to speak to, because really and truly they just want to open up and just talk and talk. And albeit I can be someone that will listen to you, I'm all about taking action. So maybe therapy might be the better option for you, or it's counseling you need to see. And I'm not qualified enough, but if someone's got mental health challenges, I can't be made responsible for that. So it's pointing them in a direction of someone more professionally qualified, you know, who have got those accreditations behind them to be able to help people in those scenarios. So there are times where it's a challenge. There are times where clients just don't want to turn up. But I get it, because I've been a client where I don't want to turn up. And differently for me, I can sense what's going on and I'm like, nah, I got to change this, got to change that mentality. But the concept of coaching, there is no struggle when it comes to coaching. I have had days where I will finish work, come home, and it will be late at night and I'm having a coaching call. And for every other person doing something, once they've come home, they just want to chill, relax, eat dinner, I get excited. You know, I know it's about to be a deep call, and who gets excited about making someone upset? That's not what I'm here for. But knowing that it's going to be a step in the right direction for them, you can't really explain what that does for you, because you're basically gonna go through the hard work right now to take that next step within your growth journey, and that's just beautiful in itself. So, yeah, I don't struggle. There are times where it is a bit challenging, but you make it work. I think one of the biggest struggles I've had to take on board is how to set up the business. How do I act like a businessman and not necessarily as someone who's just here to help? Because that's what we all try to do, right? When I say all, people who just want to help are fantastic. Then you have the salesman who will drop into your DMs and try to offer you some services, and it's like, yo, don't approach me like that. I hate that personally. I don't like that. I want to be seen as someone that you can just message in regards to anything and everything. And if I can help, fantastic. If my coaching services are going to be beneficial, fantastic. But I think one of the biggest struggles is having people just message you for the sake of it and not want to do the work. And it's like, I just spent some time trying to help you, and now you're just going to say no. But everyone's on their own journey. But I think what I've learned in this is having to be selective as well, because you can't help everyone, and accepting that. So acceptance, you've heard me talk about acceptance on my reels and other podcast episodes. Like, it's part of the process, and we learn from our experiences in the past and we move forward. There was a stage where like I wasn't sure what to charge for my clients, and it started off really low. Slowly we build it up, and we're at a stage right now where we're quite comfortable in what we can charge, and we back ourselves. We know what we're going to bring to the table, and it's a case of if someone's not feeling up for it but they want to work for me, I'm going to tailor something to make it work for you. I'm going to find a way where you personally get the coaching you can afford, and from me. If it's something that we generally just can't work with, cool, it is what it is. But I appreciate you turning up. I appreciate you having the courage to speak to me, and let's see if we can find another avenue for you, someone else, or a different like approach in regards to you being able to get the services you require to move on the way you really want to. Um, so yeah, how do I? So that's that. That has been one of the struggles, but we learn. I'm not an expert. I'm still building my business, and I'm still going to continue to build my business. I'm going to learn different ways and how I can approach clients. How can I help clients, and how can I add more value to people who aren't clients, but in regards to getting professional help and assistance. So yeah, how do I manage my own mental health? This is one thing I touched base on in episodes before, but in general, if I'm a doctor right now and I've got like a knee injury or something like that, I can possibly self-diagnose what the issue is, but I can't operate on myself. I need another doctor to operate on me. And I think that's like, albeit that you might call yourself an expert in an area, you always will seek someone else to assist on that journey. And the same comes through coaching. So I'm not perfect. I have felt an element. I don't like saying the word depression because I'm not sure what true depression is or whether or not my feelings actually validate for being depressed. But there have been times where I've been really low and down, and I call it being in a funk. And when you're in those kind of feels and moods, like, you do need help. You do need assistance. And it goes beyond needing it. You want it because you don't want to feel this way anymore. And so I have seeked out assistance. I have had coaches that have helped me start the business up. I have had coaches where I have worked with them in regards to how to approach people, how to be myself more authentically. But most importantly, I'm going through something right now, and my business won't excel because I am so stressed out about this dating scenario that I'm in. I am so stressed out with this relationship I have with my mum or my dad or my sister or whatever it is, and it's just going to keep building and building, and I'm not going to be in a place where I can truly help the people I want to help if I'm not really there and present myself. And so how I manage my own mental health, I have my own things that I do. I have my own routine, regards to meditation, journaling, books that I read, podcasts that I listen to, etc. But I have also invested in my own mental health by working with coaches. I am right now working with coaches for different things, and look, there may be a point where I seek therapy because there's something I really want to just talk about and get out of my head, get off my chest, take that weight off my shoulder. It could be a case where I might need counseling at some point. So it is all part of the journey. But that's how I manage it. And some of the challenges that people bring to me. The funny thing in all of this is that people bring challenges, again, at a surface level. They talk about their relationship. They talk about how dating isn't working for them. Dating apps are pathetic. People don't talk. I get ghosted. I have people approach me again in regards to businesses and stuff. And so it's more of a case of what I tend to do when people bring these challenges is, let me hear you out. What are you saying? Okay, cool. So dating apps aren't working for you because you keep doing the same thing. And what's that same thing? Well, I swipe right, I message, and then they ghost. So talk to me a bit more about your messages. If you're a guy right now, if you're a girl right now, how do those messages read to you? Are you too upfront? Are you not being vulnerable enough? Is your conversation quite shit in regards to how they read it? Like, you've got to look at it from all angles. And when they start seeing things a bit differently, it's like, oh shit, yeah, the reason why I don't go in this avenue, the reason why I don't take this journey is purely based on the fact that I'm scared of what they're going to think. Boom. Okay, cool. Let's talk about what you're really scared of. Who's made you feel that way? Shit. You open up another can of worms, but you actually get to some of the core things that are really holding people back. So again, challenges, dating challenges possibly come from the fact of parents, family pressure. They see everyone else moving on in their lives, or they've just been dealt a bad hand where they're in a position right now where they want to find someone, they don't know how to. They lack confidence. They are insecure. And so many things come up. And it's a case of, well, the main challenge is you want to find a partner. But the real challenges are that we need to get you feeling confident and back in yourself, because maybe you don't really need a partner. Maybe you don't really need that warmth and love from someone. You need to have that within yourself, because once you have that, it kind of doesn't matter whether you get it or not. And that's a different mindset to have. And that's where I'm at right now. Like, I don't necessarily need someone here by my side and be like, what are you saying, babes? You good? Like, it's nice having that. But I love myself internally to know that I am great and good enough, and I am worthy of what I truly desire. And that's going to happen when it happens. And I think that's kind of like the journey we all kind of like need to just be on, really. It's working on that inner self and getting ourselves into a position where we can push forward. Don't get me wrong. If someone approaches me around like a fitness journey or a business journey that they want to embark on, sweet, fantastic. The challenges are you can't find finance, you can't find backing, or fitness wise you're struggling to get yourself to the gym because you're injured or whatever it is. Okay, cool. So what are all the other alternatives? And the beautiful part when it comes to coaching is I don't know the answers. I can give you advice, but that's not my job. I'm not here to advise you on what to do. My job here is to hear you out and ask you the questions and let you give me the answers that you're going to start taking, because it's all trial and error, right? How you swipe right on a dating app might be a certain way, but as soon as you start thinking of it differently, you may change your approach. You may come off the apps and start sliding into DMs, or you may approach that person at the bar because that's more of a organic. That's the word that gets thrown out. Organic. That might be what you want to do. So again, it's just part of the journey. We figure it out, we learn, and you take action the way you want to. One of the biggest challenges that come up is when a client identifies that they're going through something, but they don't want to take further action on it. They're stubborn, they're stuck in their ways, or it's just too deep for them to unpack right now. And it's a case of, all right, okay, cool. Well, you're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. You're going to get yourself into a place where things aren't just going to move forward, because your relationship, your dating scenario, your business, whatever, is always going to be held back by the thing that you just identified right now that you don't want to work on. You're constantly going to be angry. You're constantly going to be upset. You're going to be infuriating when things don't work out, because it's a case of you haven't let go of something that's still infuriating you right now, that's still stuck up here. So, yeah. Oh, fuck me. That's a lot of rambling. My throat is actually hurting right now. Jeez. Now I know how my guests feel when I get them to talk. But yeah, this was meant to be an introduction of what Coaching with Pri is all about, what this has been about for me, and yeah, I kind of really wanted to use this time to just give you that light-hearted, albeit it's been quite long, introduction into what Uncle Pri does, why he does what he does, and why he continues to do what he does, you know. And I'm always looking for different people to speak to learn more, to understand different scenarios and progress further as a coach, but not necessarily that. But when it comes to the podcast, who can I bring on? What kind of conversations can I have based on the conversations I'm having with people in my DMs right now? If I bring an influencer in who's gone through that, is that going to help them? And so, yeah, man, that's me so far in a nutshell. I possibly could keep talking for hours upon hours, and maybe I do more of these. You know, I won't lie to you. Spoiler alert: I've had some times where I've done solo sessions in the other studio, and yeah. Yeah, you're about to see what this podcast is all about. You're going to see me having a 20-minute snippet where the camera's like right up in my face, and it's just a weird conversation. There are going to be some more deeper conversations where I really get deep into regards situations that I've been through, which I haven't really shared with a lot of people. And it's cutting that bullshit out and being open and honest with my audience and letting them know, yo, it's not always happy days, and I'm struggling right now with X, Y, and Z. And if you are too, don't feel like you're alone, because we all go through these kind of things. So yeah, man, that's kind of like what's going to happen. So what you can expect moving forward on the podcast. Hopefully moving forward, as long as I've got accessibility to cameras and lights, and if you could see what's in front of me right now, all of this equipment and facility that I've been fortunate to make the most of. There's going to be YouTube content. There's going to be better video content. Hopefully, the quality of these cameras and everything looks fantastic. And as we move forward, you're going to see more of this kind of stuff. But bear with me. It's going to start with this episode looking, which I think looks okay from what I'm seeing right now, but it could be quite shit. But then we're going to have episodes where it's recorded off the phone and you've got one angle. But I want to show the growth journey with all of this. You know, I don't want it to just be something that you just see off the cuff as a final product. And I don't show the hard work that's been done. I listened to a James Smith. If you don't know him, he's a PT / trainer / coach. He wrote this book called Confident, and he's done other books. It's fantastic. And he talked about when he was recording once, someone said to him, just put that video out. And I think it was about him making popcorn or something, and it was terrible. But he just did it, and that was the start to be where he is right now. He's an author, he's a trainer, he's relatively quite famous in what he does. It's fantastic to see that journey, and he had to start somewhere. So I'm going to show you where I have started, in terms of video content with this, to one of the cameras here, to different scenarios, scenes, backgrounds, lights, and all of that shit. So bear with me. It is part of the process, and hopefully with more guests that I come on, you'll get to really live the unfiltered experience through what you see. So yeah, I just want to say thanks. If you've stayed all this way to listen to what I've said, it means a lot. One thing I've learned when watching YouTube videos and stuff like that is to make sure you tell people to like, comment, and subscribe. So I might have done that, whatever. But yeah, if you're a fan of what I'm doing, if you've got outlooks in regards to what you want to see on the pod or what you want to hear, definitely please hit me up, drop me a DM. I am very approachable. I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to hear the topics that you want me to touch base on, and hopefully we can make this as engaging as we can. But that only comes from you showing me your love and showing me and telling me what you want to see next and how I can improve. So yeah, much appreciated. Gang, gang, gang. Love. Peace.